I hate the moon. I am afraid of it, for when it shines on certain scenes familiar and loved, it sometimes makes them unfamiliar and hideous. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and gender non-conforming friends. My name is Andrew Carr, and welcome back to the Carr-Quest of H.P. Lovecraft. And today, we have a really strange one. Today we will be covering what the moon brings. My question is, what did the moon bring? Because I have no idea what happened in this story. Because, okay, so the basic plot of it is that, and I've heard that it's either a prose poem or a short story. So something like Nyarlathotep. Like, I don't know. I don't really know prose poems. I know other forms of poems, but prose poems I'm kind of it eludes me. So basically, this person hates the moon. As it says in the first paragraph. It says that. Not it says. He starts talking about how, like, once he saw the moon show him a bunch of weird things, and then the weird things kind of, there's something that, like, chases him or something. Wait, what? Hold on. Does something chase him? There's, like, lotus flowers with, at first I thought it was, lotus faces, which I thought, like, was the actual, like, face of the flower, like, the actual flower itself. But then, no, I've seen other things say, like, no, those are, like, lotus flowers with dead people's faces. And I'm like, ugh. Yeah, he finds some sort of condor, which I don't know what that is. Is it like a snake or something? Yeah, then there's like a city of the dead. Sea worms. I literally had to consult the story. And keep in mind, the story is literally like 2 pages long. And I'm looking at it and I'm just like, what happened though? I think this is a case of it being way too short. I think this is a story that's way too short. 'Cause I don't know what happened. Of course, part of that I think is because I did towards the end almost fall asleep. But then again, I don't think it's the story. I think it's more just sleep and stuff, which is funny because the whole Dreamlands, it's all about sleep and dreams and whatnot. So from what I understand, the little bit of research I did after finishing the story, because I was just kind of like, where did this come from? What was Lovecraft pretty much based it off of this dream he had, where a cool thing though is that like in the case of like, oh, the moon makes things that are familiar and loved seem unfamiliar and whatnot, was the main character goes into a garden, and in the moonlight the garden isn't just one thing, it's like a multitude, it's like a giant thing. So like at the end of each corner there's another garden, and it just spreads out. And I'm like, that's cool imagery, and I like the imagery of it. I just don't know what happened. I just don't know. Again, I think this is just a case of maybe Lovecraft was just experimenting. He just thought he just had this cool dream, which I understand a lot of Lovecraft's story ideas did come from dreams. A lot of his stuff, he saw in his dreams or got influence from his own dreams. So that's definitely interesting. I wonder if this was just like a random idea he penned down, like, oh, I had this freaky dream about like this never-ending garden with lotus flowers with dead people's faces and all sorts of other weird things, and then there's like a giant monster, kind of, sorta, not really, and then boom, it's over. yeah, it's the only other really word I can use to describe this is just kind of undercooked. It's not bad. It's just it's so short. Like the audiobook is like the on horror babble is literally 5 minutes long, which is literally how long this review has been running. Maybe it might run a minute or so longer, but it just, I'm guessing it's like a story about, it's also kind of like a Lovecraft story, like shrunken down to like 2 pages, which I mean, I guess I'm so confused. I'm so confused by this just like nugget of a story. What is this? That's a bit of a phrase I learned from Frosty Pages. He's a cool book reviewer guy. So yeah, so what the moon brings. I don't know what it means. I don't know what the moon brought. I guess the moon makes things different. The moon's an H.P. Lovecraft entity in and of itself, I guess. Okay, that's probably a stretch, but I don't get this story. It's not bad. I to give it some positives, as I said earlier, I really like the imagery. I think the imagery is really good. Again, it's Lovecraft's prose. Lovecraft really likes describing things very archaically and very hard to process what it is he's actually writing about or even saying. Yeah, it's just a weird thing. It's not even, I mean, it follows the basics of a story. There's a beginning, middle, and end, but I don't know what to make of this thing. It's just so just short and weird, and then it's just kind of over, and that's just kind of it. There's nothing else other than that. There's not even like other sort of H.P. Lovecraft references or anything. It's just this. I'm guessing this is just some kooky little idea Lovecraft had in his head, and he was like, "Oh, this cool imagery would make for a pretty cool story. I'll just write something down about it and whatever." I don't know. There's Lovecraft's usually a lot more developed, I think. This is definitely kind of undercooked Lovecraft. I don't know. So bizarre. So bizarre. Yeah, so that's what the moon brings. Not really much else to say about it. Yeah. If I were to give it a rating, C is too low. I think C is way too low. I think at worst, at least a B. At least a B because the imagery is pretty good. But yeah, this is just a weird little, just random, just sort of offshoot, just by H.P. Lovecraft, and that's all I can really say about it. Now I will say, the next episode, the next story rather, will be Pickman's Model. Now you may be wondering, wait a second, Andrew. You've covered Pickman's Model before. Why are you covering it again? Well, first, well, not really first, more just foremost. Well, A, it's been a while since I read it. And two, sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that. And two, I think I now get to read it in the context of the rest of the dream cycle. So I think that's going to be very interesting to sort of read Pickman's Model, because I read Pickman's Model just kind of by itself originally, just kind of like, oh, it's a creepy little Lovecraft story, and I remember really liking Pickman's Model, and actually, another thing about adaptations, I saw once the, what was that, Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, I think it's called. There's an episode based on Pickman's Model, and yeah, so pretty much the next episode is going to be a retrospective on Pickman's model in the context of it being a part of the larger dream cycle. As opposed to just reading it as a H.P. Lovecraft story, this one's more in the context of everything we've read so far in terms of the setting of the dreamlands and everything we know about dreamers and all that sort of stuff. So, next time we will be covering, retrospectively, Pickman's model. So until then, ladies, gentlemen, and gender non-conforming friends, my name is Andrew Carr. This has been the Carr-Quest of H.P. Lovecraft, and I'll see y'all then. See ya.